Night shifts at gas stations aren't usually eventful. At least, that was the general idea I had when I applied for the job. A quiet paycheck, a few drunk college kids needing snacks, maybe a lost trucker or two. Nothing I couldn't handle. I wasn't looking for excitement, just a little money to get by. But what I got was something else entirely. It started on my third night. The gas station sits right on the edge of a highway in rural Pennsylvania. You could drive for 20 miles in either direction and not hit anything but woods and darkness, which made it the perfect place for the weirdest thing that ever happened to me. Before I go any further, if you like horror stories based on true events, especially ones that mess with your perception of reality, take a second to like this video, drop a comment about the creepiest thing you've experienced at night, and don't forget to subscribe. Clara After Dark is where the real horror lives, and I promise it only gets darker from here. The first sign that something was off came at exactly 2:14 a.m. I remember the time because I had just looked at the register clock while restocking cigarettes behind the counter. The station was empty. The lot was empty. I hadn't had a customer in over an hour. Then I heard the bell above the door. I turned around, expecting to greet a customer, but no one was there. No sound of footsteps. No sign of anyone at all. I stepped out from behind the counter to check the lot again. Still nothing. No cars. No bikes. Not even a raccoon. I figured maybe it was a glitch in the door sensor. It was old, and the whole station had this lingering smell of mildew that screamed barely maintained. So I went back to stalking. A few minutes later, the bell rang again. This time, I was ready. I spun around the second I heard it, but again, no one. I walked to the door, opened it, and stepped outside. The cold hit me like a wall. Autumn in Pennsylvania is no joke at night, and the fog rolling in from the woods gave the air this wet, thick silence. Then I saw the man standing by pump 3. He wasn't pumping gas, just standing there, not moving, not even looking around. His back was to me, hands at his sides. I almost called out, but something stopped me. Something about the way he stood there made my skin crawl. It wasn't just eerie, it felt wrong. I stepped back inside and locked the door. I watched from behind the counter. He didn't move for 5 full minutes. Then, just as suddenly as he appeared, he walked off into the woods behind the station. No car, no flashlight, no sound, just gone. I told myself I'd imagined it, that maybe it was a trick of the fog, or a drifter who didn't want trouble. I convinced myself not to report it, but I kept watching the woods. And that's when I saw the same man standing in the exact same spot the next night. Same time, same posture, same silence. That's when I stopped believing in coincidences. I didn't sleep after that second night. I stayed up, drinking bad coffee and scanning every local news article I could find about missing persons or suspicious activity in the area. There was nothing. Not a single thing. As if the world outside my station didn't know what was happening inside it. I even asked my coworker Greg about the man. He worked the shift before me, covering the afternoons. He looked at me like I was asking about ghosts. "You sure it wasn't a deer or something?" he said with a chuckle. "You know how fog can mess with your eyes." I didn't push it. I didn't want to sound crazy, but I knew what I saw. That man was real. On the 4th night, I brought a flashlight and a thermos of coffee so strong it made my eyes twitch. I was ready, or at least, I thought I was. The hours crawled by. Midnight came and went. Nothing, no cars, no strange men. Just the hum of the cooler and the flicker of the faulty overhead light near the bathroom. Then came to 14 a.m., the bell rang. I didn't flinch this time. I grabbed the flashlight and sprinted to the door. I burst outside, scanning the lot, and there he was. Pump 3, same man, same position, but this time, he turned his head. Not fully, just a tilt, like he was looking at me from the corner of his eye. I froze. My skin went cold even though I was wearing 2 layers. He didn't say a word, didn't move an inch beyond that tiny tilt. I don't know how long I stood there. My flashlight felt like it weighed 100 pounds. I took a single step forward, and he turned back toward the woods. Then he walked, same as before, slow, silent, disappearing into the tree line like he was made of mist. That's when I called the police. They sent out a local deputy, some guy named Carson, friendly, but clearly thinking I was wasting his time. He walked the lot, shined a flashlight toward the woods, and told me there weren't any footprints. Fog plays tricks, he said. You should get more sleep. But I knew what I saw, and I wasn't sleeping until I figured out who or what was showing up at 2:14 every night. The next night, I brought a camera. It was an old DSLR I had from college. Nothing fancy, but good enough to take clear shots in low light. I set it up behind the counter, pointed straight at pump 3, and connected it to my laptop so I could watch the live feed. If I was going crazy, I wanted evidence of it. Midnight rolled around again. I kept the lights low and the coffee hot. Hours ticked by. At 2:13, I focused all my attention on the monitor. At exactly 2:14 a.m., he appeared, not walked in, not emerged from the woods, just appeared. One frame, the camera showed an empty lot. The next, he was there. Same man, same position. It was like he had blinked into existence. I leaned closer to the screen. The image wasn't distorted. He was real, standing there under the flickering light, casting a shadow. But something about that shadow didn't sit right. It moved. Even though he was standing still, the shadow twitched, almost like it was vibrating, like static on an old TV. My stomach dropped. I glanced outside. He was there, just like the screen showed. Then my laptop went black. The screen didn't just lose signal, it shut off entirely. So did the lights. The cooler stopped humming. The whole station went silent. A power outage. My flashlight was under the counter. I scrambled for it with shaking hands and flicked it on. The beam cut through the darkness, landing on the glass door. He was standing just outside, closer than ever before, inches from the door, staring straight at me. For the first time, I saw his face. It wasn't blurred. It wasn't monstrous. It was just wrong. Too smooth, too still. His eyes didn't move, didn't blink. Just black glass reflecting my own terrified face. I stepped back. My heart was hammering in my chest. Then he raised a hand and placed it flat against the glass. I swear the temperature dropped to 10 degrees. My breath fogged in the air. The flashlight flickered. And then, as suddenly as it had started, everything came back on. The lights, the cooler, the laptop, even the overhead speakers played their usual late-night rock station. But he was gone. No sound, no footsteps, just gone. Only the smear of his handprint remained on the glass. I did not wipe the handprint off the glass. I left it there. I wanted someone else to see it. Maybe Greg, maybe a cop, anyone who could tell me I was not losing my mind. But when my shift ended and Greg came in, the handprint was gone. No smudge, no trace. Just clean glass like it had never been touched. Greg walked in with his usual coffee, gave me a tired nod and said nothing. He did not even notice anything off. I stayed quiet. I stopped telling people. They would not believe me. I knew that now. That night I searched again. Online forums, old posts, local Reddit threads, newspaper archives, anything that might help. But I found nothing about this gas station. No murders, no ghost stories, no strange legends, nothing. Until I stumbled on a buried comment in a 6-year-old thread. A guy said he used to work the night shift at a station off Route 42. He mentioned someone who came to pump 3 every night. Just stood there. Did not speak, did not move. The comment had no replies. The account was deleted, but I knew it. He was talking about this place. I was not the first. That night I brought a notebook. I wrote down everything. The exact time the lights flickered, what direction the man was facing, how long he stayed. I was trying to find a pattern, some way to make it make sense. At 2:14 a.m., he appeared again, but this time, he was not alone. At first I thought it was a second shadow, just a trick of the lights, but the shape behind him was too tall, too thin, and it moved independently. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped toward the door. I kept watching. My chest felt tight. The second figure stood just beyond the reach of the light. I could not see its face, only a silhouette, dark and sharp, like it had been burned into the air itself. The man at the pump turned, his whole body, slow and stiff. He was now facing me. The second figure glided forward, not walking, just moving, like it was floating over the ground. I panicked, slammed the door shut, locked it. My flashlight flickered. The store lights pulsed. The security monitor went fuzzy. Static lines crawling across the screen, but beneath the sound, I thought I heard breathing. Then everything stopped. Silence. The power came back. The lights returned to normal. And outside, the lot was empty. No man, no shadow, just darkness and fog. But when I turned around, there were wet footprints behind the counter. Not muddy, just damp prints like someone had stepped inside with soaked shoes. They led halfway across the floor, then vanished, and they were not mine. I called off work the next night. I told Greg I was sick. He did not ask questions. He just said feel better and hung up. I stayed in my apartment with every light on, TV playing, music on my phone, anything to drown out the silence. But no matter how loud the noise, I could still hear something underneath, a low hum, faint and steady, like electricity buzzing inside my skull. I did not sleep. When the clock hit 2:14 a.m., my phone vibrated, no ringtone, just a single buzz. When I checked the screen, there was no message, no missed call, nothing. But the timestamp on the lock screen read 2:14. Exactly. I threw the phone across the room. I knew I could not run from it. Whatever this was, it was not just tied to the gas station anymore. It was following me. The next day, I went back. I told Greg I felt better, that I needed the hours. He shrugged and said sure, but he looked at me weird, like he knew something was wrong. When I got to the station, I checked the cameras. Nothing saved. All the footage from the past 3 nights was gone, deleted or corrupted. Every file said 0 seconds, 0 kilobytes. I checked the back room, the storage closet, even the bathroom. And that was when I noticed something new. Carved into the underside of the counter, right where my knees usually rest, there were 5 small symbols. I had never seen them before. They looked like scratches, but too precise, too deliberate, like someone took a knife and etched them slowly, carefully. I touched them. They were ice cold, even though the rest of the counter felt normal. I snapped a picture with my phone, but when I looked at the photo, the symbols were gone. Just blank wood, as if nothing had ever been there. That night, I kept the front door locked from the start. I turned off the lights, sat behind the counter with my flashlight, and waited. I did not even pretend to do my job. No cleaning, no stocking, no register, just silence. At 2:14 a.m., the temperature dropped again. This time I was ready. I watched the security screen, and I saw him. Pump 3. Still as ever. Only now, he was not alone again. There were 2 more figures standing beside him, one on each side. They did not move. They did not speak, but slowly, all 3 turned their heads toward the glass, toward me, and then, in perfect unison, they raised their hands and pointed, not at the station, at me. I could not breathe. Their hands stayed raised, unmoving, pointing straight at me like they knew exactly where I was, like they had always known. The glass windows began to fog. From the outside, slow at first, then faster, like someone was breathing on them from inches away. Even though the air outside was still, then came the knocking. 3 soft taps on the front door. I jumped, flashlight shaking in my grip. Another 3 knocks, this time louder, and then 3 more, but not from the same place. 1 knock on the side window, another on the back door. Then something tapped the glass cooler behind me. I turned. Nothing was there. Just shelves of drinks and my own reflection staring back. The knocking stopped, and the silence was worse. I stood there for what felt like an hour, but the clock on the wall said only 2 minutes had passed. I slowly sat back down behind the counter. trying to control my breathing, trying not to cry. That was when I heard the bell. The chime from the front door. The same sound it makes when someone walks in. But I had locked the door. I was sure of it. I looked up. The man from Pump 3 was standing inside the store, not on the monitor. In front of me, by the candy aisle. Close enough that I could see his face, only there was no face. Just empty skin. Flat and featureless. Like someone had erased every detail. He tilted his head slightly, like he was curious. And then he took a step forward. I tried to move, tried to stand, but my body would not respond. My legs were heavy, frozen. The lights above me flickered once, twice, then went out completely. Only the flashlight in my hand still worked, its beam shaking as I lifted it toward him. He was gone. I stood slowly, moving toward where he had been. Nothing. Just silence and the faint hum of power returning to the building. When the lights came back, the store was empty, but the cooler door was wide open, and on the floor, right in front of it, was something that had not been there before. A Polaroid photo. I picked it up with trembling fingers. It was a picture of me, taken from behind the counter. The angle was high, like from a ceiling corner, but we did not have any cameras in that position. I flipped the photo over. There were words written in red ink. "You look better when you are scared." I threw the photo away, dropped it into the trash bin beneath the register, and slammed it shut. But when I looked back down, it was on the counter again. Same photo, same words, same chill crawling up my spine. I did not touch it this time. I just turned off the lights, sat on the floor behind the counter, and waited. My phone buzzed again at 2:14 a.m. Still no call, no message, just the vibration. And when I picked it up, the screen flashed for a second. Only a frame, barely visible. A picture of the inside of the store, taken from above, just like the Polaroid. I dropped the phone. There was something else in that flash. Something moving in the upper right corner. By the chips aisle, a shape crouched low to the ground. When I looked, there was nothing there. But the smell had changed. It was metallic, thick, like rust and rainwater soaked into rotting wood. I stood, grabbing the flashlight again, and moved slowly toward the aisle, my heart thudding so loud it echoed in my ears. The light beam shook as I swept across the shelves. Nothing, nothing. Then something moved. A blur, fast, too fast to track, from one end of the aisle to the other, knocking over a row of snacks without touching them. I turned and ran back to the counter, slammed the office door shut and locked it behind me. The camera monitor blinked, just static, then flickered back to life. All the pumps were empty. The lot was still, but on screen, inside the store, I saw myself, standing motionless behind the register, my back turned to the camera. But I was in the office, watching. I stared, frozen, my mouth dry. The fake me on screen slowly turned, and smiled. It was a smile I had never seen before. Too wide, too many teeth. It did not belong on any human face. Then it raised one hand, and waved. I shut off the monitor, pulled the plug from the wall. Darkness again. From the other side of the office door, I heard breathing, long and steady. Not like someone afraid, but like something waiting. I did not move. I did not speak. The flashlight flickered, then died. For a long time, there was nothing but silence. Then, a voice, not a whisper, not distant, right next to my ear. "You left the door open," I screamed. Fell backward, hit the wall so hard it knocked the breath from my lungs. But when I opened my eyes, the office was empty. No voice, no shadow, just the cold air pressing against my skin like wet cloth. I checked the office door, still locked, still closed. But when I looked down, the light from the hallway outside was bleeding in from underneath, flickering like something was moving in front of it. I did not move. I sat there, back against the wall, breathing in shallow gasps. Then the lock clicked, not loud, not forced. Just a soft metallic turn, like someone with a key had opened it from the outside. The handle turned next. I grabbed the flashlight, still dead, threw it at the door. Nothing happened. No reaction. No sound. I pushed myself up slowly, opened the door with trembling fingers. The store was clean, quiet, lights steady, no movement, no shadow, and the Polaroid. It was gone. I walked back to the counter. The register was running, the cooler humming, everything normal, except for the smell. It was still there. That metallic sting, deeper now, like blood soaked into the concrete. I pulled up the carpet behind the counter. There were stains underneath. Dark, old, wiped but not gone. That is when I started to understand. This was not about a ghost. Not about one man. This place had layers. I checked the records. Went into the dusty drawer where Greg kept old files, receipts, maintenance logs, even incident reports. Most of them were boring. Petty theft, broken shelves, routine stuff. But one thin folder caught my eye. No label, just a date from 12 years ago. Inside, a handwritten report, filed by someone named Roy. He wrote about a man who came in every night at the same time. Did not buy anything, just stared through the glass. Roy had reported it 3 times. Then the note stopped. The last page was torn, but one sentence remained. If he starts pointing, do not look back. I dropped the file. My hands were shaking again. This had been going on for years, maybe longer, and no one ever said a word. I stopped going home. There was no point. Whatever this was, it followed me. It breathed through the walls, crawled under the floorboards, spoke in my sleep. I stayed at the station, told Greg I wanted more hours, said I needed the overtime. He looked at me, eyes tired, like he knew I was lying, but he said nothing. I started keeping notes, drawing the symbols I found under the counter, sketching the figures I saw outside. I filled an entire notebook in 3 days. None of it made sense, but the act of writing helped me feel sane. For a while, at 2:14 a.m., like always, the air shifted, the screens flickered, the cooler doors clicked. The lights buzzed low, but nothing came to the pumps. Not the man, not the shadows, not the things that stood beside him. That made it worse. I walked around the store, checking corners, aisles, nothing, until I found something new. A message written in the condensation on the inside of the cooler door. Just 3 words. You are ready. I stepped back, knocked over a display of chips, heart pounding. Ready for what? I whispered, but no answer came. Then the phone rang, the lamp. We almost never used it. I picked it up. Static. Then a voice. It was my voice. Breathing heavy, repeating one word, over and over. Downstairs, downstairs, downstairs. But we had no basement. At least, I thought we did not. After the call ended, I looked behind the office shelf. A loose panel, dusty, unmarked. I pulled it away. Behind it, a small hatch in the floor, locked with rusted chains. I broke the lock with a wrench, lifted the hatch. Darkness below, thick and stale. A narrow staircase made of concrete, leading down into the dark. I turned on my backup flashlight, the one I kept in my bag, stepped onto the first stair. The air smelled like mold, rot, and something old. Older than the building, older than the ground beneath it. As I descended, the flashlight flickered. I kept going. At the bottom, a room. Concrete walls, no shelves, no machines. Just a chair in the center, and a camera facing it, plugged into nothing. On the chair, a folder. I picked it up, opened it. Inside were photos of me, working, sleeping, sitting in the office, all taken from above, all from impossible angles. And one final photo, a picture of me, sitting in that exact chair, looking up at the camera. I dropped the folder, ran back up the stairs, slammed the hatch shut. I locked it again, with a new chain, but I knew it did not matter, because when I looked at the security monitor, the man was back, only this time, he was inside, He stood by the coffee machine, facing away, still wearing the same shirt, same boots, same motionless posture. I did not move. I did not blink. I waited. He turned slowly. His face still smooth, featureless. But now his chest was moving, like breathing, slow and steady. Then he raised his hand and pointed again, not at me, at the hatch in the office floor. I said no, out loud, over and over. But he did not react, just stood there, hand out, silent. The lights above flickered. One by one, they shut off. Only the emergency red light near the back room stayed on, casting the whole store in a blood-red glow. I ran toward the door, pulled at the handle, still locked. I punched the glass. It did not crack, did not shake. I turned. He was gone. But in the reflection of the cooler, he was still pointing. I staggered back to the office, my heart pounding like a drum. The hatch was open, not broken, not forced, just open, as if someone had unlocked it from below. And coming from the darkness beneath, a sound, not footsteps, not breathing, whispers, thousands of voices, all saying the same word, over and over. Stay. I stepped back, but something caught my ankle, not fingers, not claws, something cold and wet, like rope made of shadow. It pulled. I screamed, grabbed the edge of the desk, kicked wildly. The thing let go, and I slammed the hatch shut again, wrapped it with the chain, used the whole roll of duct tape from the drawer, sat on it until sunrise. Greg showed up right before 6 a.m. He asked why I was sitting on the floor. I laughed. I think I was still laughing when I handed him my keys. I quit that morning. He did not stop me, just nodded, like he understood. I moved 3 towns over, changed my number, got a new job at a bookstore, quiet place, good people. But some nights, when I close up alone, I still feel it, that pressure in the air, that weight in my chest. At exactly 2:14 a.m., I do not sleep much anymore. Sometimes, I get pictures in the mail, no return address, just Polaroids. All of them show a gas station, empty, silent. But in every single one, I am there, standing behind the counter, smiling. It took me 19 days to go back. I told myself it was curiosity, but deep down I knew the truth. The gas station was still inside me, like a splinter in the brain. You cannot stop touching it, even if it hurts. I parked across the street, motor off, lights out. It looked the same faded sign, same yellow glow from the overhead lamps, same silence. Only now, it felt like it was waiting. I brought a camera this time, a real one, infrared, motion sensor, audio pickup. I also brought a friend. Her name was Clara. We met online, a forum about real haunted places. She had seen things too. She believed me without hesitation. She said places like this were not just haunted, they were thin between what I asked. But she never gave a straight answer, only smiled. We crossed the street together, pushed the door open. It was unlocked. Inside, dust on the shelves, lights flickering, no sign of Greg, no sound. We split up. Clara took the back rooms. I went to the office. The hatch was still sealed. My chains, my tape, still there, but rust. I touched it. It felt warm. That made no sense. I called for Clara. No answer. Then I heard the bell. The front door chime. But we had not opened it. No one else was supposed to be here. I stepped out of the office and froze. There were footprints on the floor, wet, leading from the door to the counter. And behind the counter, the Polaroid was back. Same photo, same message. You look better when you are scared. Only now, there was a second photo beside it. It showed me and Clara, taken from outside the building, through the window. Just seconds ago, we were being watched. I backed away, called her name again, still nothing. I checked the hallway, empty. Cooler room, empty. Then I found her bag, dropped near the coffee machine. Camera still recording, no sign of her. I rewound the footage, The screen showed Clara walking past the machine, looking at something on the wall, then turning. Her mouth opened. She screamed. The camera fell. I paused it at the last frame. There was something behind her. Tall, thin, no face, no eyes, only a long black arm reaching toward her shoulder. I dropped the camera. The cooler doors opened behind me, all of them at once. I turned, but nothing was there. Only the faint smell of blood, and the echo of Clara's scream, still ringing in my ears. I ran through every room, calling her name, no answer, only silence. And that thick feeling in the air, like something breathing without lungs. I opened every cabinet, kicked every door, checked the restroom, checked the storage closet. Nothing. Then I saw it. The hatch in the office. The chains were broken, the tape torn, and the hatch wide open. The stairs below were darker than before, like the shadows had weight. I called down, no response, only the faint hum of something electrical. I took a breath, stepped down. Each stair felt longer than the last, like the descent was stretching, twisting. When I reached the bottom, I found the same concrete room, same chair, same camera, but now, there were candles on the floor, dozens of them, unlit, arranged in a perfect circle, and inside the circle, Clara's voice. She was whispering. I stepped closer, could not see her, but I could hear her, repeating words I did not understand. A chant, soft and steady. Then the candles lit by themselves, one by one, spiraling inward. The light revealed a new shape in the room, a mirror, tall and narrow, leaning against the far wall. And in the mirror, I saw Clara. She was standing in the circle, eyes closed, hands at her sides. But when I looked directly at the circle, she was not there, only in the reflection. I called her name. She did not respond. Her reflection turned to face me, but her body did not move. She raised one hand in the mirror, placed a finger to her lips, then pointed behind me. I turned fast. Something was crawling down the wall. Long arms, joints bending wrong, no face. It dropped to the floor, soundless, then began to rise, bone by bone. Standing to full height, I reached into the circle, grabbed Clara's wrist. Cold, but solid. I pulled. Her eyes opened. For a second, the room shook. Candles flared. Then everything went black. When the lights came back, we were upstairs, on the store floor, lying side by side. The hatch was gone. No chains, no opening, just clean tile. Clara sat up, looked at me. Her eyes were wide. But not afraid, she said. We are not supposed to survive this. And then she smiled. We drove for hours. Did not speak, did not stop. The gas station got smaller in the mirror, but it never really left. I kept checking the rear view, expecting to see him, or worse, expecting to see myself, still standing behind the counter. Clara stared out the window, her hands trembling, but her voice calm. She said, "Some places are not haunted by the dead. They are haunted by time itself." I asked her what she meant. She told me, that room below, it was not built, it was found, discovered when they laid the foundation, and instead of sealing it, they built over it, and fed it. People disappeared around that area for years, but no one connected the dots. No one wanted to. I asked her how she knew. She said, "Because it happened before. Somewhere else. Different town. Different face. Same design." She opened her bag, pulled out an old photograph. Black and white, faded. It showed a diner. Deserted. But in the window, a tall figure pointing inward. Same shape. Same posture. It was always the same. I asked why we were spared. Why we got out. She said we did not. Not really. Since we left, things started to change. My phone would ring at exactly 2:14 a.m. Even when it was off, no number, just static. At first, I ignored it, but then the messages started appearing, on mirrors, on windows, even on the frost of my car windshield. "Come back. Clara started hearing footsteps in her apartment. Saw her reflection smile when she did not. It was not over. We met again 2 days later, at a diner 3 towns away. She looked tired, older somehow. We made a plan. Go back, find the source, end it. I brought tools. Chains, salt, old books I never believed in until now. She brought candles, and a small iron key she claimed came from the floor of the gas station. We arrived just before midnight. The building was dark. No power. No Greg. The pumps were smashed. Windows broken, like something had tried to escape from inside. We stepped in, and the door closed behind us. The lights turned on, all at once. The cooler began humming again, and behind the counter, there was a new photo. This time it showed us standing in the doorway. Just moments ago, Clara picked up the photo, studied it, then tore it in half. But as the pieces hit the floor, the lights flickered. We moved to the back, avoided the hatch, or where the hatch used to be. There was no opening now, just floor, smooth and cold. Clara said it changed its shape, that it adapts, that it hides in plain sight. She took out her candles, formed a circle like before, and asked me to sit inside. She said we had to draw it out, make it manifest, then trap it. I asked what would happen if we failed. She did not answer. The room got colder, air heavier, like something big was about to arrive. She began chanting, low and steady, language I could not understand, but felt deep in my bones. Then I heard the bell. The door had opened. I looked up, but no one stood there, only a shadow, long and sharp, stretching across the tile toward us. Clara kept chanting, her voice louder, faster. The shadow moved, broke into pieces, then reformed. A shape stepped forward, not quite human, not quite smoke. It had no eyes, but I felt it looking straight into me. I could not move, could not breathe. Clara raised the iron key, held it out in front of her, and spoke one final word. The thing stopped, then screamed, a sound so sharp it cracked the lights above us. The candles burst, flames shooting upward, then gone. I fell backward. Clara collapsed beside me. The room was silent again, empty. The shadow was gone, but so was the gas station. We were no longer inside. We were standing in the middle of a 2-lane road. No lights, no buildings, only forest on either side. Behind us, where the station should have been, was just dirt. No foundation, no debris, like it had never existed. I turned to Clara. She was crying. Silent tears, she said. We did not destroy it. We only pushed it away. It would come back. Somewhere else. Different shape, different name, but same hunger. We did not speak on the drive back. The silence was loud, heavy. Every time we passed a gas station, I stared too long, waiting for something. A flicker, a shadow. Clara watched the sky, like expecting something to fall from it. We stopped at a motel near the county line. Cheap, dusty, but quiet. Inside, she opened her journal, maps, old clippings, Polaroids from other places, other stations, other disappearances. She had been tracking them for years. I asked why she never told anyone. She said no one listens until it's too late. She pointed at one photo, a laundromat in Nebraska. Same layout, same camera in the corner, same kind of hat. Another, a bus terminal in Utah, abandoned, but still humming at night. Then she looked at me, said, if you really want to help, we hunt them, one by one. I laughed at first, thought she was joking, but her face stayed still, serious. She said, this is not about surviving anymore. It is about stopping it from spreading. I agreed. Over the next few weeks, we traveled state to state, following the patterns, disappearing employees, Polaroids, odd blueprints, each place different, but always the same echo. We found one in Colorado, an old movie rental store, empty for years, but power still running. Inside, same design, same mirror in the back room. We did not go inside that one. Not yet. Clara said we had to study first. Prepare more. She called in help. An old friend of hers. Someone who had survived one of these places. Name was Jacob. A quiet man with eyes that never blinked enough. He showed us something. A burned notebook. Pages filled with names, dates, coordinates. He said the list was growing. That whatever we were fighting, it was adapting. Faster than expected. Clara suggested we go underground. Not physically, but digitally. Track reports. Disappearances. Patterns and emergency calls. I set up alerts. Created a system. Every ping felt like a scream in the dark. And then, we got one. An alert from a small town in Arizona. Multiple missing persons. All tied to a 24-hour diner. Same blueprint. Same location markers. We packed our things, loaded the car, and drove. As we crossed the state line, my phone buzzed. A message? No sender. Only 2 words. Too late. I showed it to Clara. She just nodded and whispered. Then we run toward it, not away. The town was small, forgotten. Not even a real dot on most maps. One wrote in, no traffic lights, no cell phone towers, just dry air, dust, and that diner. It sat at the edge of town, neon sign flickering, open 24 hours, 7 days a week. But no cars in the lot, no movement inside. Clara parked across the street. Engine off. Windows down. We watched for almost an hour. Lights stayed on, but the shadows moved wrong. At one point, we saw someone inside, wiping a table, but the cloth never touched the surface. Just passed through it. Like a loop. A broken memory playing again and again. We stepped out, crossed the road. The closer we got, the colder the air felt. Clara touched the glass. Her fingers fogged it from the outside, but the inside stayed clear. We pushed the door open. A bell rang. Same sound, same tone, like the gas station. Inside, booths with red leather, old jukebox in the corner, menus on the tables, everything spotless. To clean, a woman stood behind the counter, smiling, wearing a uniform that looked brand new. But her eyes did not blink. She said, "Table for 2, then turned away. We sat, second booth on the left. The menus were blank, just white pages, no text, no prices. Clara whispered, "It is testing us." We waited, pretended to look around, but stayed alert. Then I saw it. Behind the counter, near the swinging kitchen door, a photo pinned to the wall. A Polaroid. This time it showed us, not from earlier, but from the future. We were sitting at a different booth, our eyes black, mouths open, like screaming. I stood up fast. The waitress turned to face me, her smile wider. "Too wide?" she asked. "Leaving already?" Clara stood too, pulled the iron key from her bag, held it up. The lights dimmed. Jukebox started playing by itself. A slow song, old, crackling with static. The waitress stepped forward, but her feet did not move. She glided. Clara said a word I had never heard before, soft and deep. The walls shook. Dishes shattered in the kitchen. The waitress screamed, mouth opening far beyond human, then vanished. Only her uniform remained, folded neatly on the floor. The Polaroid caught fire without flame. We stood there, alone. No more jukebox. No more humming. The diner was quiet again, but not safe, Clara said. This one was a scout, not the source. That meant something worse was coming, and we were already in its path. We searched the diner, every drawer, every closet, looking for signs, clues, something to explain what just happened. In the office behind the kitchen, we found a safe, no lock, just open. Inside was a map, old and worn, covered in red pins. Each pin had a date, some decades old, others more recent. Clara spread it out on the counter, ran her fingers across it. "These are all sites," she said. "Every one of them." I looked closer. They stretched across the country. Gas stations, dinosaurs-themed rest stops, old diners, abandoned warehouses, each one in a forgotten town, each one sitting near ley lines, old fault zones, power grids. I asked how many were still active. She said, too many. Some were dormant, waiting. Others were growing. She showed me a cluster in Nevada, another in Kansas, even one in Alaska. It was spreading like a disease. Then she showed me a symbol, etched into the corner of the map, barely visible. A circle, split down the middle, with an eye at the center. She had seen it before. Same symbol carved into the wall of that first gas station, hidden under layers of paint. We scanned the diner for it, and found it, carved under the booth where we had first sat. It pulsed faintly, as if breathing. Clara placed her hand over it, closed her eyes. She whispered, they are connected, all of them, through something older than this country, older than the buildings. It uses places like these to watch, to feed, to open doors. I asked if we could close those doors. She said, maybe, but it would take more than just us. We left the diner before sunrise. Outside, a stray dog watched us from the road, its eyes white, not blind, just empty. It did not move. We got in the car, drove fast. Back at the motel, Jacob was waiting. He had pulled data from a site we flagged in Utah. People were vanishing every 7 days. Always at midnight, always after visiting a vending machine behind a library. He handed Clara a notebook. Inside, drawings, symbols, ritual patterns. He said, they are syncing. The sites, the events, all leading to something. We looked at the last page. It showed a date, only 3 weeks from now. Something was going to happen. Something big. Clara closed the book, then said, we stop it, or we disappear like the others. The drive to Utah took nearly 9 hours. We barely spoke, eyes on the road, mind on the time. We arrived just before midnight. The library sat at the edge of a dead town. No light, no traffic, only the sound of wind scraping through broken signs. The building was tall, made of old brick, vines creeping up the sides like veins. We circled the back. There it was, a single vending machine, covered in dust, but humming softly. Clara stepped closer, pressed no buttons, just stared. Then she said, watch this. She took out a coin, dropped it in. The machine blinked. Lights shifted from red to blue, then back to red. A can dropped, no label, just black metal with no markings. Clara picked it up. It was cold, colder than it should be. She opened it. Nothing inside, no liquid, no fizz, only a whisper. It said, we see you. Suddenly, all lights in the library turned on at once. Rows of fluorescent glow, even though the power grid was long dead. I turned to Clara. We need to move. She nodded, pulled out the iron key, and we entered the building. Inside, shelves untouched, books still in place, dust hanging in the air like fog. We moved quickly, searching for signs, traps, symbols. In the center of the library, where the reading tables were, we saw it. A circle burned into the floor. The same symbol, eye in the middle, lines like veins stretching outward. Clara placed the black can in the center, and everything stopped. No air, no sound. Then, the lights began to flicker. Books started falling from the shelves, and from the far end of the room, something stepped forward. It looked like a man, but not quite. Tall, too thin, head tilted wrong, eyes all black. He spoke without moving his mouth. You are early. Clara raised the key, but he raised his hand, and the key flew from her fingers. We were frozen, held by something unseen, pinned in place. He walked closer. The air around him shimmered, like heat rising from asphalt. He said, you were never meant to find this place. Then turned to me. You have been marked since the first station. Marked by her. He pointed at Clara. She did not deny it. He raised his hand again, and the floor beneath the circle cracked. Light spilled out, blinding, pulsing. Then I remembered the notebook, Jacob's notebook. I reached into my jacket, pulled it free. opened to the last page, spoke the word written there. The light changed, shifted from white to blue. The figure screamed, soundless, but violent. The floor swallowed him. The light faded. We dropped to our knees, shaking. Clara looked at me. "Where did you learn that word?" I said. "I don't know. It felt like I always knew it," she whispered. "Then you're deeper in this than I thought." We drove all night, did not stop, did not speak. When the sun came up, we found a small diner, a real one, not haunted, not humming. We sat in silence, coffee untouched. Then Clara spoke. "That word you used, it is not from this world, not from any language known to humans." I asked what it meant. She said, "It means return." "Return what?" I asked. She looked at me, then pulled a small mirror from her bag, held it in front of my face. I saw something behind my eyes, a flicker, like a shadow moving just beneath the surface. "I dropped the mirror," Clara said. "You were taken once, weren't you?" I shook my head. "Number, I would remember." She leaned forward. "They don't take your memories, they rewrite them." She pulled out her journal, flipped to a page, a photo, blurry, but I was in it, standing in front of that first gas station. As a child, next to me, a woman in a red coat, Clara whispered. "That was my sister. She vanished when I was 17. We found her coat at the edge of the highway, but no body." That's when I started hunting these places. I looked again at the photo. I had no memory of it, no memory of her, but something inside me hurt, a deep ache, like a scar I never knew I had. Clara said, "They took you both, but only let you out." I asked why. She said, "Maybe you brought something with you, something they need." I felt sick. We left the diner, hit the road again. Jacob called us an hour later. Another site just activated. A bus station in Wyoming. 5 missing in 3 days. Same blueprint, same symbol. Clara said, "This might be the center, the one holding the network together." We needed supplies, more iron, more salt, more tools. At the hardware store, I caught a reflection of myself in a window, but it did not blink when I did. It just smiled. I froze. Clara grabbed my arm, pulled me away. "You're not fully you anymore," she said. "They left a door open inside you." I asked if we could close it. She said, "Maybe, but it will hurt. Then we go to Wyoming first." I said, "We end it there." She nodded and loaded the trunk with everything we had. The bus station in Wyoming looked like any other, plain, gray, forgotten by time. But as we pulled into the lot, we saw the signs. No berms, no wind, no sounds at all. Inside, the station was empty. Benches clean, floors polished. Too perfect. Clara checked her watch. It was exactly midnight. She whispered, "This is the pulse, the heart of it all." We moved carefully, following the energy. There was no hum this time, no light flicker, only silence. Jacob arrived 10 minutes later, parked down the block, car lights off, eyes wide. He said, "Something followed me." We all entered the station together, 3 of us, but only 2 shadows on the floor. Clara noticed first. She pulled me aside, whispered, "You left your shadow behind." I looked down. She was right. I asked, "What does that mean?" She said, "You're split. Part of you is already inside." We reached the back of the station, found a locked gate. Behind it, an old stairwell leading underground. Clara used the iron key. Gate opened without sound. We descended slowly, 1 step at a time. The air grew colder, thicker. At the bottom, a chamber, circular, walls covered in mirrors. Each mirror showed a different version of us. Older, younger, broken, gone. In the center, a table, and on it, another Polaroid. I picked it up. It showed me, but asleep, eyes open, mouth full of ash. Behind me in the photo, the woman in the red coat. Clara took the photo, her hands shaking. Then the lights went out, pitch black. Something moved in the dark. Wet footsteps, breathing. I held up the iron rod. Clara lit a flare. The walls were no longer mirrors. They were eyes, watching, blinking in sync. A voice filled the room. Not a scream, not a whisper, but something in between. It said, "Return what was taken," Clara shouted. "What did we take?" The voice answered, "Time." Then the floor cracked. A hole opened beneath us. I fell first. Fell for too long. When I landed, I was in the gas station again. The first one, but empty. No shelves, no doors, just the mirror. I looked into it. My reflection stepped forward, then spoke, "You are the key." And the lock. Clara landed beside me, covered in dust, bleeding from her palm. She said, "We can end it here. But you have to choose. Either lock it forever, or open it and face what's behind." I looked at the mirror, then back at her, and said, "Let's open it." The mirror cracked, but did not shatter. A line of light split down the middle, slow and silent. Then it opened, not like glass breaking, but like skin peeling. Behind it, a hallway, no floor, no ceiling, just space stretching in all directions. Clara stepped first, iron key in hand, flare still burning. I followed. The air was wrong, heavy but hollow, like breathing inside a dream. The hallway twisted, turned on itself. Gravity changed with every step, Clara said. We're inside the source. Not a place, but a thought, a living memory. The walls pulsed with light, sometimes red, sometimes blue, like it was thinking. We came to a door, not real, just an outline floating in the dark. Clara touched it. She said, "This is where they store the missing." I asked, "Can we bring them back?" She whispered, "Only if they want to return." The door opened. Inside, 1,000 faces, frozen mid-scream, eyes wide, mouths stretched. They were not dead, just paused, held between seconds. Among them, I saw myself, younger, maybe eyes filled with fear. Clara reached into her coat, pulled out a small metal box, opened it. Inside, a sound, not a device, not a recording, just pure sound. It filled the chamber. The frozen faces blinked, one by one. Some began to cry, others smiled. Clara said, "Time is starting again." But then, the air turned black. The hallway screamed. Walls cracked. From the end of the corridor, it came, the original one, tall, too tall, skin like oil, eyes like broken stars. It did not walk, it unfolded, step by step. Reality bent around it. Clara stepped forward, held up the key. It laughed. Without sound, "You do not understand," it said. "We never needed the doors. You are the door." Then it pointed at me. "The iron in your blood, the cracks in your memory, you were always meant to return." Clara threw the key into the air, spoke a word I had never heard before. It froze. For just 1 second, it could not move. I took the flare, ran forward, and stabbed it through the chest. No blood, just light. It screamed. A real scream this time. The chamber trembled. The frozen faces began to vanish. One by one, Clara shouted, "Now!" I reached for her, and the world exploded. I woke up on the side of a highway. Empty road. Sun just rising. My hands were burned, fingers shaking. I turned over. Clara was there, eyes closed, still breathing. She opened them slowly, then smiled. "We made it," she said. I looked around. No gas station, no mirror, just open desert and wind. But something felt different. Time was moving again. The world had weight. We sat up, waited for the pain to pass. A truck rolled by. Driver waved. Clara whispered, "They can see us again." We hitched a ride to the next town. Small place, nothing special. But there were people, real people, laughing, living. We bought water, sat on a bench. Clara pulled out her notebook, flipped to the last page. It was blank. All the names, all the symbols, gone, she said. "The connection is broken." I asked, "Forever?" She didn't answer. We took a room at a cheap motel, both of us too tired to speak. That night, I dreamed. The hallway again, but empty. Silent. At the end of it, a mirror. I stepped closer. My reflection was smiling, but I wasn't. It said, "There is always another door." I woke up sweating. Clara already dressed. "Bag packed," she said. "You felt it too." I nodded. We left the motel without checking out. Hit the road again. The map we used was gone, but Clara drew a new one from memory. She marked a spot in Oregon. Old lighthouse. Had been dark for years. Locals said they heard music at night, even though it was abandoned. We drove west. No plan, just instinct. At a rest stop, I checked my reflection again. It blinked this time, but half a second late. I told Clara. She said, "We're not out. Not completely." That night, Jacob called. He said, "Something pulsed on the grid. A ripple? Not big, but there." He asked, "Did you stop it?" Clara answered, "We delayed it." Then she hung up. I asked if she was scared. She said, "Always." But then she smiled. "We're still here. That counts for something." The drive to Oregon was quiet. Too quiet. No radio, no static. Just silence. Even the road felt different, like we were the only ones left moving. Clara traced symbols in her notebook, not from memory, but from instinct. She said, "New patterns are forming." I asked, "New doors?" She nodded. We reached the lighthouse just after dusk. It stood tall on a jagged cliff, surrounded by dead trees and salt wind. The door was open. Inside, dust-sticked, walls cracked, but the light at the top still worked. Clara whispered, "That's not supposed to be possible." We climbed the spiral stairs, each step creaking, each breath harder than the last. At the top, the lens room was empty, but there was music, soft, old, like a lullaby played backward. Clara searched the floor, found a stone panel, lifted it. Underneath, a box. Black, smooth, no lock, no seam. She touched it. Her hand shook. "It's alive," she said. Then it opened, not like a lid, but like a flower. Inside, a single feather. Glowing, I reached for it. Clara stopped me. "That's not for us," she said. "Then who?" She pointed to the wall. Scratched into the stone, a message. It read, "She is waking." We turned to leave, but the stairs were gone. Not broken, just vanished. Only stone below us now. "Endless," Clara said. "It's testing us." I asked, "What do we do?" She said, "We wait." Then the light shut off. Total blackness. For a moment, I felt weightless, like the world had been turned inside out. Then the floor returned. The stairs too. We ran out the door, into the wind, back to the car, hearts racing. As we drove away, the lighthouse collapsed behind us. No explosion, no sound, just gone. Clara stared ahead, eyes distant. "They're moving faster," she said. "Changing forms?" I asked. "What are they now?" she said. "Not doors, not stations, not mirrors." "Then what?" She looked at me. "People." We checked into another motel, far from the coast, far from anything familiar. Clara drew the feather in her notebook. Its glow still burned behind her eyes. I asked, "What does it mean?" She said, "It's a seed, not of light, but of memory." I didn't understand, not fully. She said, "When places die, they become echoes. But when echoes die, they need hosts." I asked, "You mean us?" She shook her head. "Not just us. Anyone." That's when she showed me the file. Photos, dozens of them. Different people, different cities, same face, same smile. They weren't identical, but close enough. Like one mask, worn by many. She said, "These aren't copies. They're carriers." I asked, "Of what?" She looked me in the eyes. "The original signal. It didn't die. It moved. Now it wears flesh." We started tracking movements, patterns in news reports, sudden disappearances, people who returned acting strange, always the same smile. Clara marked each case on a map, a spiral, moving inward, toward something. We followed the trail, city to city, never staying more than a night. Everywhere we went, we saw them, in stores, on buses, at diners. They watched, but never approached. Not yet. At a gas station outside Kansas City, a kid behind the counter asked me, "Do you dream in mirrors?" I froze. He smiled, same smile, then said, "She remembers you." I grabbed Clara. We ran. That night, we stayed in the car, too afraid to sleep. Clara whispered, "They're networking again, not through places, through minds." I asked, "Can we break it?" She said, "Maybe, but we'll have to go deeper." Inside one of them, we found him in a bus terminal, downtown Denver, just standing, staring at nothing. Same smile, same stillness. Clara said, "He's dormant." We waited, watched. He didn't move for hours, not even to blink. Then, at 3 a.m., he turned and walked. We followed from a distance, through alleys, down empty streets. He entered a laundromat, no lights, no power, just machines spinning. Clara said, "Now." We moved fast, hit him with the iron rod. He collapsed without a sound, not unconscious, not awake, just still. We carried him to the van, drove out of town, found a safe house Jacob had set up years ago. Inside, we tied him down, surrounded him with salt, placed mirrors at each corner. Clara opened her journal, found the entry about dream linking. I asked, "Are you sure about this?" She said, "Number, but it's the only way." She mixed something in a metal bowl, ash, blood, and a feather, not the glowing one, a normal one, taken from her coat. She lit it. Smoke filled the room. "Breathe in," she said. I did. The world bent. My body stayed, but my mind slipped. Darkness, then light, then a hallway made of water. He stood at the end of it, the man, smiling. I walked toward him. He said, "You shouldn't be here," I said. Too late. He touched the wall. It melted, revealing a city, huge, empty, but alive. Buildings pulsed like hearts. Streets whispered names. He said, "This is where we're from. Not a place, a thought. We were dreams once, but dreams rot. Now we need form." I asked, "Why us?" He said, "You left a door open. Long ago. She found you. She marked you." Then he showed me the gas station, that night. But from above, I saw myself, young, sleeping in the office. A woman stood over me, red coat, eyes like static. She kissed my forehead, then vanished. He said, "You were chosen. A seed for the next network." I screamed. Tried to fight, but the city cracked. I fell through, woke up gasping. Clara shaking me. "He's gone," she said. The man had vanished. Bindings broken, salt scattered, but he left something. A note, written in ash on the wall. "She is almost here." The safe house was no longer safe. Every mirror in the room cracked at once. Not shattered, just enough to distort. Clara swept the pieces into a bag. "We can't use reflections anymore," she said. "They know how to trace through them." We moved again. No phones, no tech. We traveled like ghosts. Side roads, cash only. I asked her, "How close are we?" She didn't answer, just drew a spiral on the dashboard. The lines were almost touching in the center. Jacob called again, this time through a one-way radio tower he rebuilt. He said, "The grid is singing, not humming, not pulsing. Singing," Clara said. "The seed is sprouting." I didn't ask what that meant. We met a woman in Arizona. She called herself Lily. She was blind in both eyes, but said she had seen the network form before. She asked us, "Did you burn the first station?" We nodded. Then she laughed. "You only killed the body, not the echo." She gave Clara a stone, flat, smooth, etched with a pattern that made my stomach twist. Clara stared at it, hands shaking. "This is a kill switch," she said. "But it only works from inside." "Inside what?" I asked. Lily answered, "The root. There's a place in New Mexico. No roads, no names, just sand and memory. That's where the first dream bled through, where the first smile was born. We drove through the night. Desert stretched forever. No stars, no sound, just a hum under the wheels, like the earth was breathing. When we arrived, there was nothing. No house, no door, just a shape burned into the sand. A spiral, same as the map. Clara stepped inside the spiral, held the stone. She said, "We only get one try." Then everything went silent. Even the wind stopped. The ground split, not wide, just deep. A voice rose from it, not male, not female, just sound wrapped in memory. It said, "You are late," Clara said, "but not too late." She dropped the stone into the crack. Nothing happened. Then, everything did. The sand boiled, the spiral lit up, the air turned heavy, then thin. I fell to my knees. Clara screamed, but not in pain, in defiance. She shouted, "You don't get to wear us." Then light poured from the ground. Blinding. When the light faded, we were somewhere else. Not a desert, not a city, just white, stretching in every direction, like fog without air. I called out for Clara. No answer. Then a figure approached, wearing her coat, but not her eyes. It smiled, too wide, too calm. I took a step back. The voice said. She left a space, so I filled it. I screamed, "Where is she?" It tilted its head. "Somewhere you can't follow, not unless you trade." I ran. The fog bent around me, made every direction the same. No landmarks, no sky, just footsteps that weren't mine. Then, Clara's voice, faint, but real. "Follow the pulse," she said. I stopped, closed my eyes. There it was, a slow, steady rhythm, like a heartbeat under the floor. I walked toward it. The fog grew thicker, then cleared, and she was there, sitting on the ground, eyes closed, hands glowing with light. She looked up, barely awake. "You weren't supposed to come this far," she said. I told her. "You left me no choice," she said. "The network tried to rewrite me, but I held something they couldn't erase." I asked, "What?" She smiled. Then the fog cracked, shattered like glass, and we fell. Back into the spiral, back into the sand. The stone was gone, melted into the earth. The air felt different. No hum, no pressure. The silence was clean. Clara stood, bruised, but alive. "It's broken," she said. "The signal has no center now." I looked around. The stars had returned, one by one, soft and distant. I asked, "Is it over?" Clara didn't answer. Instead, she pulled a small notebook from her coat. It was blank, except for one page. 3 words, written in her handwriting, not yet finished. We drove without speaking, north, then west, following no roads, just instinct. Clara held the notebook close. The words on the page pulsed faintly, like they were alive. She said, "The root was severed, but the branches remain. Every place touched by the signal still echoes, still remembers." We reached a small town by the mountains. Quiet, empty, too clean, Clara said. This was one of the first test sites. We walked through the main street, shops untouched, but no people, only mirrors, dozens of them, leaning against buildings, placed in windows, facing each other. "A trap," she whispered. She pulled a cloth from her bag, covered her eyes, then tossed a stone at one of the mirrors. It shattered, and every other mirror followed. The air shifted. A low moan rose from the ground. Not pain, but hunger, Clara said. "They're feeding off memory. Places where fear was planted." I asked, "What do we do?" She handed me a marker. "Write something true, then destroy it." I hesitated, then wrote. I remember her smile. I crushed the page, burned it. The wind screamed, then died. One by one, the mirrors turned to ash. We repeated this in 3 other towns, each with its own anchor, its own scar. Clara called them echo loops. Each one we erased, took something from us. I forgot the name of my first dog. She forgot a lullaby her mother used to sing. Memories traded for silence. At the last town, we found a boy, sitting in a church, alone, smiling. Same smile. But his eyes were wet. He said, "It's too quiet now." Clara sat beside him. She asked, "What do you hear?" He said, "Nothing." Then looked at us. "Please, put it back." Clara reached out, touched his forehead. He blinked, then screamed. The church shook. Windows burst inward. We pulled him outside, laid him in the grass. He stopped crying. He whispered, "She's gone." Then he slept. Not dead, just empty, Clara said. He was one of the seeds, but never bloomed. Now he's free. We camped near the lake. No towns nearby. No lights, only stars above us, and the soft rustle of wind in the grass. Clara watched the sky. Her fingers traced invisible symbols on her knee. I asked, "Is it really over?" She said, "Almost." That word echoed too loud in my chest. Almost. I couldn't sleep. Not really. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her. The woman in the red coat. The one who kissed my forehead in that old gas station. Years ago, I never asked Clara what she saw. I didn't want to know. At sunrise, the lake changed, not the water. The reflection, it showed a gas station. Not ours, but familiar. The pumps, the flickering lights, the old neon sign that used to buzz when it rained. Clara stood beside me. She whispered, "It's calling you back." I said, "I don't want to go." She nodded, "But we have to." The lake went still. The reflection faded. But we remembered the road. We drove all day, past familiar turns, dead towns, empty fields, until we saw it. The original station, the one where it all began. It should have been gone, burned, buried, but it stood there, clean, new. The lights were on. The door was open. I stepped out of the car. Clara followed. The air was thick, like walking through honey. Inside, it smelled of rain and smoke. Everything was exactly how we left it. Years ago, even the broken clock behind the counter. Clara placed her hand on it. It started ticking. Then, a sound from the back room. Footsteps. Soft, slow. We turned. She stood there. The woman in red, older now, but not aged, like time had moved around her. She smiled. Not the carrier smile, but something worse. Something real, she said. "Thank you for clearing the branches. Now the root can grow again." Clara stepped forward. We severed the seed. We broke the dream. The woman laughed. "You killed echoes. But I am the first whisper." Clara stood between me and the woman in red. Her hands clenched. Eyes locked on that impossible smile. The woman said, "You were never meant to resist, only to carry, to spread." Clara stepped forward. "I'm not your echo. I'm the interruption." The woman's skin flickered, like static over flesh. She said, "You think you've won, but you never left. This station, this shift, it's a loop." Clara shook her head. "Not anymore." She held the notebook, the one with only one page written, not yet finished. She tore it out, folded it once, whispered something into it, then handed it to me. "You have to place this in the drawer," she said. "The one where you first found the feather." I took the note, fingers shaking. The drawer was still there, still slightly open, dustless. I slit the paper inside. The moment it touched wood, the room shook. Lights blinked. The hum returned, louder than ever. But this time, it wasn't the station. It was her. The woman screamed. Cracks spread across her face. Her coat burned without flame. She staggered forward. Clara stepped back. "You left a door open," the woman said. Clara nodded. "Now we close it from both sides." She reached into her coat, pulled out the stone, the one that should have melted. It pulsed again. She placed it on the floor, inside the spiral of oil that had reappeared without anyone drawing it. She said, "Go." I froze. Clara shouted, "Go." I ran. Out the door. Across the lot. Turned back. She was gone. The station collapsed inward, not down, but inward, like it was folding into itself. No fire, no dust, just silence. Then, nothing, only an empty patch of dirt, and the scent of rain. I stood there for a long time, then walked away. I kept the notebook, the rest of the pages blank. But sometimes, when I dream, I see them filled. Words I didn't write, memories I don't remember, and always, at the bottom of each page, one line, written in Clara's handwriting: "The graveyard shift never ends. It just waits for the next dreamer."